We're good.
We're good. All right. So welcome to the 7 Acts, the beginning. It's a webinar series with David Lonebear, Sanipass. This is 7 talks about the understanding of how resonant kindness can be put into the world and used immediately. 2 weeks ago, we had a teaching called Finding the Resonance. And tonight we are going into the second of 7 called Identifying the Act in Resonance. So we are just returning from a trip in Sedona where David Lonebear Sanipass was speaking with Clifford Mahudi, and Matt Belair was on that trip with us. So we would like to hear a little bit from Matt about what happened in Sedona.
Oh, hey. Yes, we did it. I'm not sure. I wasn't, again, prepared to speak when we were in Sedona. We had about 80 people show up. We were there with Clifford Mahudi, who's been on the podcast, who is a Zuni elder. And it was a really good trip. I think that the meeting between Clifford and David was very important and very special. David was sharing with me that a Mi'kmaq elder and a Zuni elder have never, ever come together to discuss their teachings and start to bring this to the world. So watching them in private conversation was something that was really special and really amazing. You know, the depth of their knowledge and wisdom and the things that they've lived through and some of the practices and the stories and also the research. They're both scientists. They're both engineers. And so incredibly intelligent, and it was a very, very special experience. And I think that for me, one of the greatest things was just listening to these two come together and then do their best to share this knowledge that's not out there right now. And it's such a layer deeper than anything else that I've seen. And so I think that we did a really good job. They did amazing teachings going to Arco Santi and really people hearing the message of what they were sharing. And so I hope that this is just the beginning of them getting to bigger audiences because they have a lot to share. It's really deep knowledge. It was a really beautiful and special experience for me to be there personally, and I look forward to them doing more.
Yeah, definitely. And we are planning on doing more. I'm looking forward to that too. I wanted to talk a little bit about David and kind of introduce him a little bit. Sometimes I talk about how he grew up on a mountain in northern Maine and was taught by over 600 different teachers that came from around the world. But as I was sitting here and thinking of a way to introduce David and these teachings, something came up. A couple weeks ago, we were at the Lowell Festival, and David was invited there to demonstrate making flutes. And so the day before, he made this little horse that he could bring so that he could demonstrate flute making and doing it in a traditional way with no power tools. And so he prepared the day before. We packed it in the little Subaru and drove down to Lowell. And we set up, and for 2 days, 2 full days, David sat and created a flute. He started with a big block of cedar and kind of cut that down into a smaller piece, and then he had this new horse that he made to help him to make the flute round. And people all day kept, walking by and asking questions. Asking about David, about his family, where he came from. They asked about his flute making and really wanted to hear him play it, but he was so busy making them that he didn't have a lot of time to play. And he just had like a little knife and a scraper and a draw knife, I guess you would call it. I'm not familiar with all these tools. One of the tools he had made himself when he was maybe 15 years old. So he sat there carving away, all the cedar shavings kind of falling on the ground around the horse. And it was beautiful. It smelled really nice. It was Eastern red cedar. So people would stop for a moment and say, oh, wow, this smells so nice. Or, oh, wow, look at what you're doing and asking the questions. And eventually, one of the most common questions was, how do you get the hole in the center of that flute? He didn't have any machinery. He didn't have like any like long drills or anything. And he would just pick up his pocket knife and say, I use this pocket knife. And people would be perplexed, and they wanted to know how he did it. And he invited them to sit down. We had a couple extra chairs set up so that they could sit and watch and observe, and whoever asked questions, David shared freely, shared openly, but not too many people stayed that long. They would watch for a little bit and then kind of get up and go on to the next thing. And people kept coming, how do you get the hole in the middle of the flute? How do you get the holes in the flute? And he'd say, have a seat and sit down for a little while and watch. And some people stay for 5 or 10 minutes. And this happened all day for the full 2 days. And I got thinking, you know, what David is sharing just by that invitation is, I think, so important in these teachings and how they come across and how we are able to receive them. So I know, like, we have so much information on YouTube and Facebook and tons of books, and we can have a question and look it up and it's like, oh, okay, there. Like, that's how you put a hole in a flute. And they probably don't have the way that David does it on YouTube, but, you know, we're so wanting just to know the answer without really experiencing it that I think we miss a lot of what these teachings are about. So to really learn and to get the STAR teachings, it's like you have to experience them. To sit down, you know, if somebody sat there for the 2 days, I was probably the only one that sat there for 2 days watching. I watched the whole process, and so I saw how he did this with, you know, just a few tools, and not everybody got that experience. So there's an element of being patient, of watching, observing, asking questions, and really experiencing that. David has been practicing making flutes since he was 8 years old. So he's still practicing. He's made thousands and thousands of flutes. So to really get to know something is, I think, a lifelong journey. And David continues to live and to experience and to learn. And he says he doesn't know everything, but he keeps experiencing, keeps asking questions, keeps learning. And just to watch him over those 2 days, I got a tiny glimpse of that. So it's a very special moment. It's a special moment in time where ancient teachings are coming to this modern world. And it's up to us to be able to receive these teachings. So I think everybody who's here tonight, who's listening, let us know that you're listening. Let David know that you're hearing his words. And I would like to introduce David Lonebear, Sanipass.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Jacqueline. Thank you for those words. She was very patient, me making flutes. I know she was really wondering how I was going to put a hole through the middle of the flute. A lot of the stories that I use on that. That was the most common question. How does the hole get into the flute? And I said, I took a termite and drilled a little hole and glued a wood and put it over a candle, and the termite goes away from the flame, chews through the wood. And believe it or not, most people believe that. It's like, okay. Yeah, but like everything else, being patient, learning about different things, it takes a lot of time. Being quiet and watching, experimenting yourself, and not being afraid to go ahead and doing something. I think that's my lesson in flutes, because when I first started making flutes many of years ago, that I see Grampy making flutes and said, "Boy, that's a beautiful flute. How'd you make a beautiful flute?" He said, "I made about 30 wrong ones first." And that's kind of what we're doing here today. It's like, all right, what are we doing? What's going on? What is the STAR teachings? What is an act of kindness? You know, I had a chance to speak over the last couple of days with Clifford Mahudi. I really enjoyed his company. He's an amazing man, an engineer and scientist and storyteller. very, I don't find those people very often or sit with. I did most of the listening this weekend because he's a remarkable storyteller and scientist and engineer. He has a lot of stories. If you can get on his channel and look what he's doing, I suggest to him. I've been trying to do that tonight. He has a lot of stuff out there. So it was really good to be with him. And if he's watching tonight, and thank you. Thank you for hosting us at your home and feeding us and driving us all over the place. We had a great time while we were down there. I figured that we're going to go down again in the next couple of weeks because these STAR teachings are growing. People are asking questions and wanting to know information. And we have a team of people behind the scenes that I don't see, but they make things possible. And people like yourself, small donations here and there, it's amazing how that helps. So, and we're not doing it alone. We're doing help by you, the board and the council and the community. So the act in residence. I guess I was just thinking about that this afternoon and figuring out how that involves our day. We get up in the morning and hopefully that we had a pleasant night's sleep. And we get up, and most of the times we get up tired. Body gets going. We have our coffee, maybe a donut, or we'll pick up the paper, or pick up your phone. See what's happening out there. See if we made some new friends. Post a couple of things, and watch a couple of videos. And that's pretty well most people's day of beginning. My day was never like that. It's not like that today. When I used to be young, I used to get up sometimes between 4 and 3 in the morning. Why? It's because the days weren't long enough. I was usually working on something, or working on a formula, or working on math, or doing something. Because on my everyday thing, I had chores. I had to split wood and get water and all the other stuff to help the family. So my time was probably between 4 and 6 in the morning. That was my best time. That's when I had my cup of tea and my donut, or whatever was there. So when that happens, it's like you get out. It's like, all right, what's going on in the world? What am I going to do? Am I going to my job? Do I have a business, or what am I doing? So we do that thing, and whatever that is, we probably get done about 11 or 12 during the day. Maybe have a little lunch and get back what we're doing. Most of the time that works. My day was like I said, 3 to 6, and work and school. I got done 1 or 2 in the afternoon, and my schedule usually that I had Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday for lessons, martial art lessons. I had music lessons in between that. I had to meet a couple other people. That was very important. I helped my mom and dad out. I also had ballet lessons, regular dance lessons, so I had to go to that. So my day was pretty full. And most of the night from Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, that was my lessons. Wednesday and Saturday was when I started teaching. I had my own class. I had close to 62 or 70 students that I was instructing. And usually Saturday and Sunday was with Master. I went to Holden, Maine. That's probably where I used to live, about 44 miles, 45 miles, depending on which way we went. And I mostly hitchhiked down there. So that was my Saturday and Sunday most of the time. Then I went over again. And I did this for years. Most of those times that I had, when I was younger, I had elders visiting us, and part of that is my instruction is to sit and listen. So I did that quite a lot, sit and listen and write and research. A lot of the research I've done through stories. A lot of the stories that I researched is just regular stories. So some books that was out, pretty well spent a lot of time in the library reading math books, but also read science books and all the different things that I can get my hands on. And I'm not a very good reader, but I pretty well thumbed through it. So you look at that and you wonder where's it time for spirit? What I mean spirit. our usual self, that we put our day, a lot of activities during our day, and we sometimes forget about true spirit. That's not ceremony. That is being aware that you're being helped, being aware there's something around you, being aware of the greater light. And my greater light, or my spiritual story, is that for a while I used to get up and do prayers. What that means is I pray for a half hour to sometimes up to an hour, just praying for my day. And I did that for quite a long time. And when that happened, is that my day went a little bit better. I had a little bit more organized day. But it still wasn't enough for the day, because we busy ourselves in a lot of different things during the day. But really, coming down to spirit, that's the hard part. Like I said, we can go teach. I've been teaching since I was probably 14 or 15 to people that come and listen to me, from my storytelling to telling the prophecy stories, or if the council wanted me to speak any of the stories. So I started this at a young age. But it still wasn't spirit. It was, I knew a lot. I did a lot in that sense. I attended a lot of ceremonies over ceremonies. So I thought I was participating in spirit when that was all happening. That, participating in ceremony is that okay? And I never busied myself with smoking. I never did that. I don't drink, and I don't take drugs. I was too busy to do any of that. But a lot of people around me that they used to do that, and that was their time spent. Mine was spent in inventing things, of course, working on projects, working on rockets, working on balloons, working on everything I can possibly get a hold of, knowledge, because I knew my time wasn't very long here. So I wanted to know how everything worked, from clocks to TVs to refrigerators to making my own airplane to doing a whole kinds of different things. A lot of radio experiments. I'm very fluent in the 7 Morse codes out there, and I do that still. So that act, and then remember what spirit is, I really didn't have time for the 3 energies. I really didn't have time for kindness, compassion, and happiness, because I was so busy doing other things. And you would think I'd be like that, It's like, okay, that's the teaching. Is first thing is kindness. What my act of kindness is I thought I was doing everything right, like helping my mom and dad, but never really putting my spirit into it, or asking my elders to help. I think I started at later in my years of the acts. And that acts is the hardest part of all spirituality. Is that we can go through emotions every day on different things that we do. We can be busying ourselves, ceremonies and doing all this stuff. But part of that act is yourself, is taking time to understand the greater good in yourself. That means, who are we? Everybody sees you during the day. If we're putting on an act for them, we're not spirit. I mean, we can wear feathers and jewelry and crystals and everything else and say they have power. Maybe so, but really, think about it. What you do if we were impoverished, we were in poverty, we didn't have anything to eat. If we had to live out of a dumpster, if we had to scavenge every day for food, would we be so spiritual? And so I know some of you guys have asked this question before. So yeah, I was impoverished once, but don't forget about that, because really the world itself is impoverished from spirit. We got a lot of things going out there, doing all kinds of different things, and in all the different workshops of the higher consciousness and everything else. I'm still can't figure out why we're paying for the higher consciousness of them. If it is a higher consciousness, it should be free for everyone. I know people get mad at me at saying these things, but it is true. Because I could probably give you a good story and you'll believe it. The act, the the act, the vibration that it creates, the resonance that creates in you, not in somebody that's watching you or somebody that thinks you're something, but actually when it happens to you. That doing that act of kindness and not telling anyone. Do you realize that's a resonance in you, that you feel resonance that? Part of that resonance is, of course, the good feeling part of it, but it also aligns every one of your molecules, every one of your energies that's here, aligns it. Literally aligns it so our magnetic field actually grips the earth and actually grips the air, not by saying it does. It actually, there's a feeling there. This is hard to talk about because I'm talking about in a different world, you know. I'm talking to you today about what is true of spirit and what is truth of spirit. I get a lot of definitions. People want to tell me there's definitions, but if you narrow it down, you're by yourself in a strange town. We self-talk quite a lot and call it prayer. I need some help today. That was kind of, I was a witness to that this afternoon. I'll get more into that later. And we want something to show us or make us feel that resonance. You don't need anything for that resonance. You don't need any crystals. You don't need anything that wraps around your neck, your wrist, a magnetic bracelet, a wand, crystals, a medallion. When we depend on this stuff, if we ever lost it, then we're going to have to go find another one. But what gives those power? You know, the energy that we're using today to see me on a machine or wherever you're watching me takes grounding. It takes negative and positive. It takes technology. I don't care what you say, that spirit, part of that technology is spirit. To make this podcast today, it took a lot of people looking in one direction, because a lot of these teachings that I'm placed to speak, but we have people in the background doing all this technical stuff so I can come on and talk with you. But you know, like on the computer itself, there's a lot of people getting Facebook, so this comes live to you. There's a power dam somewhere that's powering this energy for this machine. There's people in the power dam keeping that maintenance, just so you can listen today. So if you lined up all the people that was in resonance of this podcast, it will be 3 to 1,000 people, depending on which technology you use. So this is not free in the sense that we kind of have to pay for it. But the spiritual resonance, we don't have to pay for. I know when people come to me, they say there's somebody special, they have a message for me. I'm not doubting they do, but what is that message? Is it about I, or me, or we? That's pretty easy. If it's a message to me that says, you're going to be on a bus in 2 days, wait a couple minutes. That doesn't make very much sense to people, but if you wait a couple minutes, your whole day changes. If you advance yourself in a couple minutes, whole day changes. So when we're in residence, we're kind of using our day the way that we want to, not the way somebody tells me I should. And a lot of people out there that believe in horoscopes and this like that. So we've got a lot of, remember, we have a lot of clever people, writers. I've worked with a lot of people that we work for the science, spiritual science. Is different things true? And I can tell you right up front, most of the stuff that we feel is true. But how are we doing that? You know, it's like, how do we do that? My message is to you today, you need nothing. You don't need a ring. You don't need anything wrapped around your neck or your head. You are part of the universe without all the gadgets. And if you can understand that resonance, you know what I mean. I know that a lot of the times that when I speak, if it's a large audience, that I speak about that, and most people walk out because that's their business. That's how they make their money. And they don't want to hear anything else. I'm not saying not to do that. It's that put your faith in you. that the Creator gave you the greater light, gave you the resonance of this universe, resonance of this earth. So to try to understand that, it's like, all right, I go through all my life to try to understand that. I work in the sciences, so I'm working with different sensor measures that measure magnetic waves. I just got a message today that, you know, a strange signal from space. I got that strange signal 42 years ago with my balloons and rockets. They're just discovering it. And what they think it is a supernova that has a very powerful neutron star and emits a photon. And the photon is very precise. And when they first seen it, they thought it was some sort of intelligent signal. Well, how do we know it's not an intelligent signal? You know, we try to, as a scientist, yeah, I can come up with the foo laws and all the different electrical readings and formulas and stuff like that, and say, well, it's just nature. But aren't we part of nature? And that part of, like, how do we send messages into space? We do it in an accident, how we do ours. Our broadcast, part of this broadcast, part of your radio signals, part of your microwave signals are going out in space. A radio wave travels in a straight line, but it's curved as a wave. So every time we turn a microwave on somewhere or send a message across the Earth, part of that goes into space. But as technological beings, we are not big enough to send a strong signal. That signal they're looking at in space is 452 billion light years away. So to send a message to them, that civilization is probably already gone, and they're to something else. So we think about that, and we think about what spirit is, and light waves, and all the different things that are out there. I think about this quite a lot. Is that, are we in the dark ages of spirit? I really didn't want to say that because I've studied how spirituality came into our worlds and did what we did. We try to explain different things, you know, without trying to explain of what spirituality and Christianity and all that done. You know, that's close to 4 billion people that's been died for that cause, and all the other spiritual movements out there. People will die for it. So we're kind of doing that right now. We kind of get something in our head. This will do this, and this will do that, and people believe it. If there's one known truth out there, that known truth is of spirit. We need nothing to contact it because our energy itself, it's there. We can measure it, we can see it. We kind of know what the voltage is, but one thing we don't know, just like humans, we don't know what the real vibration of spirit is. 1,000 people tell me, no, I know what vibration is. We hold this crystal up and this and that. I've worked years and years and years on that. It is us that put power into these things and make things happen. That resonance that we're looking for, it could be very well obtained just by saying hello to somebody, to find out somebody's name, go out of your way to do something for another person. Sometimes you have to go through some turmoils to do that, but it's returned in the vibration. We're looking for peace on earth. Are we peace with ourselves before we can share that peace with somebody else? Most of the people I've talked to, we're not peace with ourselves, including this person. That we put things in our way, we put different things that we believe in and not go beyond that. And we're stuck with it. So those people that walk out of my talks, that they stopped. You know, okay, this works, we stop. Do you realize out of all the energies of space and all that, we only know one energy? And it's not love, it is electricity. And that sounds so raw, electricity. But your body is electricity. Your nerve cells work on electricity. Your neurons in your head works on electricity. And if you want to short that out, just grab a plug-in and get 120 volts through you. It short circuits you, that you can't move. If you get enough voltage, it will kill you. You overload. You couldn't handle it. But we figured that anything that has electricity, it has something more to that. Part of the light spectrum of light is part of electricity. And part of that we can measure, we can see ultraviolet, infrared, all the different things, but it goes way beyond what we know. It goes so far into the space and time. It's embedded into time. It's embedded to fast time, slow time. It's embedded to stop time. But that's hard to measure because we don't have enough instruments to measure that. We can only measure what we see now, the light that's coming from the sky, the rainbows, all the different things. So it's part of that spectrum. So we are part of that, of course, we are part of that spectrum in that radio wave. I find I have a lot of arguments with people about spirit. I've been doing this a very long time. The research, my research is in spirituality and Christianity, all the things that deals with spirit, that's connected to that. And I've read a lot of books, did a lot of research, talked to a lot of people. And people that's been in it 4 or 5 years come up and argue with me. And I don't think we should argue. I mean, I think on that sense that we should share information back and forth, because I'm open. I'm very open to if somebody says something, does something, I would like to see that, and I would like to measure it. I would like to try to understand it more to see if it benefits the greater earth. So yeah, I'm pretty open. I'm still open. I have a lot of people ask me different questions that I do write down. I said, well, I will look into that and to see what's going on. But being in residence of the act of kindness, that's the hard one. Some people say, I already know about kindness. What's the next one? What's the next teachings? And this weekend, I had about 4 people say that. Said, I already know the book. I'm already kind. Tell me the next thing. And I said, well, it's compassion. No, I know that too. Tell me next thing. Be happy. Oh, I'm always happy. Tell me the next thing. Ego. That kind of stops them in their tracks, because if you look the way the energies go, kindness, compassion, happiness, and ego, that's a rainbow. That used to fit together one time. The energies are laid right beside them. But if you attach them all, if you attach all those energies together to one vibration, you would come up with a vibration, what you're looking for. What are you looking for? Peace on earth? Yes. You're looking for the higher consciousness? I think you attach all those together, I think you will find it. But the whole world has to be kind of in the same ballpark. So if you look at it as a scientist, that, all right, what is the key to all the 27 teachings? You know, we only mentioned 4 tonight, but kindness connects to all the teachings. There's something in kindness that goes all the way to the 26 that has to be understood, a little bit understood. Goes to the next one, goes to the next one, goes to the next one. And if you looked at it as more of a spectrum, that's nature's way of doing things. That if we are in resonance, we are in harmony, resonance of the teachings. When that happens, there's a bigger thing that happens. That bigger thing is a little bit of understanding of the universe and understanding yourself. That part of that compassion is part of kindness. Kindness and compassion. What is that about? Is that we are kind to our children. We are kind to our wife, our husband, our mate. We are kind to the community. But are we compassionate? Usually when I'm driving, I see no compassion when people drive. For some strange reason, the laws of physics breaks down when you drive. Let me give an example. Is that I once knew this person. He was in our neighborhood, and he was very kind, and it was. He did a lot of different things. Helped you pick up your yard if you wanted to. Sometimes he'd come over and talk for hours, and he asked if we would do anything. Down on Main Street and coming around the corner, and I took the corner too sharp and I almost hit him. I didn't know he was such a vocal person that he said every name in the alphabet of swearing to me. So why do we do that? Why does those rules break down? And I think it's because we have a weapon in front of us when we drive. It's a 210 weapon. We have metal and glass between us, so that protects us. And, you drive with a weapon. And I would often wonder what happened if walking down the street and I cut him off. Would he say the same thing? We would probably say, excuse me. Not all the words and metaphors. I think we're kind of like that today, that we have all this technology. I have people message me all the time. But they forget to say hello. Or they ask me a question right off. Hey, this is a question. No hellos. Like, wow, that's incredible. If I was in front of you just asking you a question without a hello, hello is part of the resonance, like kindness resonance. Is we're in there and we want to be in resonance. So we say hello. This machine is no different. There's life on this other side of this machine. I don't see all of you guys, but I just want to make sure that my greeting is hello, because I'm a compassionate person. I know sometimes the simple things in life, what we do. I've been to Sedona, and I did look for the vortexes down there and didn't find very much. I found a lot of people pointing in a direction. Feeling things, different things. I'm not doubting that's true, but wow, what are we doing? How come them vortexes are not in Alaska or somewhere out in wilderness? That we get to one place and feel different things and kind of just transfers to another person. Honestly, I didn't feel anything down there, vortexes. I felt hungry, I felt thirsty, I felt hot. I felt tired. I felt all the different things out there, but no vortexes. What does the vortex feel like anyway? And I'm still trying to figure that out. But I'll work on it. I'm not saying the vortex is not true, but I just could not find any. My antennas probably weren't up or farther enough. I will look again. People keep wanting me to look at different places. I will look again for you. Talking to Clifford, and I'm a Native American, if you didn't notice. I've been on this earth as a Native American since I came here. What does that mean? Maybe I might be in touch with the earth more. Maybe that I can feel nature. Maybe I'm very compassionate and one with nature. Maybe I play the flute and be one with that. Maybe I wear leathers and feathers. Maybe I play a drum. Talking to Clifford is a beautiful person. I honor his knowledge and I listen to him. That we come from a traditional background. And when you come from a traditional background, that stays with you forever. And how you see things, how you look at things, and it realizes our earth is changing. Because when I was growing up, I was with elders, and I respected that very much. I didn't talk over them. I didn't do anything to offend them. And I was very conscious of that too. And I still am conscious of that with people. But some people are not so conscious of that. They get stuck with something and that stays in their mind and they override your tradition. And they talk to you like a child, I guess. You did this, you did that, like that. We have to understand that our traditions and your traditions almost the same. You're living yours, I'm living mine. And when the two worlds meet, then there's resistance. You know, I ask people to be kind. I am kind. To be compassionate. I am compassionate. To be happy. I'm happy. And to have ego. You have to have enough ego so you don't step in front of a bus. That's distant balance. Part of that teachings is that when you are doing that, you're kind of in resonance. If you are aware of this, you are in resonance. If you attempt kindness, you're in resonance with compassion and happiness. It can go backwards too, so that when you make somebody laugh out of the blue, that's part of compassion and happiness. And the kindness will come behind that. So they kind of intertwine with each other. I'm not saying love is not true, but I think we should practice what we preach. If we do say that word, I think we should really mean it and go do something about it. Put that kindness in there, so the kindness in whatever that is that could be in resonance. That's hard because we're concrete, all hardened, all mixed up, and we can't change things because we're hard. Meet a lot of people out there that are fixed mind on something, and they won't look beyond that. If you are one of these people, just take a little time. Just take a little time. Think what you want to think and what you believe, but go beyond the next step. Look up at the stars. We believe in conspiracies out there. I think that's the hard part with people is we are ruled by a machine prophecy. And this is this machine that I'm on right now. We're ruled by YouTube, all the different things out there that's going on. Because I bump into a lot of you that says, oh, look on YouTube, this guy did this. You know, we do have libraries, you know, with books, with pages. You know, and I'm pretty sure you can get libraries with this, but sometimes if you do your research, walk to do the research, go somewhere to do research, write it down, then you're going to find more of the truth, more of what's going on. We have a lot of different theories out there about the moon, all the different that's going on, and we make it believable by convincing somebody else. When I first heard the conspiracies about the moon landings and the photos and all the different things, some of it's pretty interesting. But I can shine a laser to the moon, and the astronaut that put the things up there, I can reflect those off those. And that's what they put them up there for, is to be able to measure how far the moon is away. My lasers are weak compared to some of the lasers out there, but I can still pick them up. The Russians just sent up a probe around the moon, I think last year. And if we wanted to be proved wrong on some of these moon landings, the Russians are the ones that would do it. Because at that time, it's the Cold War, sort of the Cold War. Race to the moon, all the technologies. I remember that. I remember all the different things going on. They would be the first ones to prove us wrong. And they flew by every one of the sites that we landed. And they took pictures of these. Guess what? They're there. The moon landing stuff is there. It was very expensive to put something up there, but the landings, all the landing stuff was there. Exactly right where they said it was. Because I was looking at the information too, because, you know, I'm a kind of a skeptic myself. It's like, okay, there's all kinds of evidence out there, but it's not evidence. It's hearsay. Well, I looked at some of the things, it's just hearsay, 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 and we believe it. Why do we not want to believe that for? I guess that we are beings that are looking for the stars, going back to the stars. I think that, you know, at that time, there was a lot of emphasis, a lot of money that went to that program to get us there. And they talk about the Van Andren belt and something like that. It's sci-fi. If you look at it, and if you go to the thinnest part, it is survivable. And some of the spacecraft they brought back, the Van Allen belt leaves a pretty good trace in metal. and they checked the metal. Their metal was heavily radiated. Very thin, but it was heavily radiated. And of course, they won't post that online because it doesn't show the conspiracy. I'm not saying it's not true, but I'm just saying that what I researched and what I looked at, both sides, that it looks like that we have been to the moon more than the UFOs sometimes. We want to believe the UFO theory, lights in the sky and stuff. Well, what's that any different than the Apollo landing? We might have got help from the aliens to do that. How come nobody brings that forward? And there was conspiracy about being on the moon now and seeing different things, different structures there. And I find that's more plausible and true because with my weak technology that I have in my telescopes, I can see protrusion from the moon. I can see glitters out of different craters. I do see some movement. I put a balloon up, I think it was the 30-second balloon I put up. I had a powerful enough camera on there that I can take a picture of the moon. And I think my balloon was up there for a month and a half, and I probably had about 19 hours of the moon. And little different things moving on. It could be asteroids or something. I know that there's 2 or 3 asteroids orbiting the moon right now, and I picked those up. So yes and no. There's a lot of things that we want to believe and what is true, and we can convince ourselves. But that's not what I'm here for. I'm not here to denounce anybody or say nothing's true. So I'm looking. I'm just like you are. There's a little more different instruments and different training to look. So I'm looking just like you are. I'm looking for the truth. I'm looking for what in the heck are we doing? What are we doing out there? What all the people are doing to other people? All the different things that goes on, and are we doing things to help us or to help others? A good way to figure that is what you do is income driven. I know that sometimes we have a lot of different beliefs in this world. If your belief says there's a creator, there's a God, there's a programmer out there, we are going in the right direction. We just got to talk to each other. That's all. The Star Teachings says that we're all under the stars. We came from the stars. We have to be able to start talking the star language with each other. Clifford, Mahudi, all the people I've ever met that claim different things and sat down with me. Out of the hundreds of people that I've sat down, only one person said the right words, said the right code. That was Clifford. And he's kind of like I am. He's out there in the dark, shining part of that truth. Go to his site, find out what he has to say, because he would reinforce what I have to say, just like he reinforces what I have to say. So listen to him. So be in resonance, be in that vibration of kindness. And it takes nothing to do that. It just takes you and your body. That's it. All the other stuff out there, you may do it, but the body's the best. And each one of us from all around the world, we don't have a lot of things in our vicinity to be able to pray. We do. Our voice, our spirit, we need nothing, and the Creator hears you. I just want to kind of close and just saying that we are out there. We have a lot of different places that we're going to go, United States, around the world, to speak part of this truth. Don't get mad about this. If something I said this evening, I apologize. Let's do our research together, because I want to make sure that if this is the truth, it is the truth. Truth to the greater light. So that's kind of my words for this evening, and thank you for listening to me. A couple other people are going to get on here tonight. Don't go away yet. Don't go away. There's a couple other people that you need to listen to, and kind of give you some information where we're going to be and point in the right direction. Walius Cooknida. Thank you very much for listening to me this evening. I hope everybody stays in the line. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, David, for sharing. So we have some other places you can continue doing your research. Like David has said, don't get mad about this. These teachings are here to help us to awaken and to expand our mind, but not to believe everything. Some places that you can start doing research. Some of the science and technology is listed on Facebook under Ancient Echoes. That's at Distant Ancient Echoes. And so we post a lot of that information there. Also the teachings and teas, which are community gatherings, mostly based in Maine, but also locations in North Carolina, New Brunswick, Canada, and Washington State, some other places. We just had a couple in Sedona while we were out there, but all of those are listed on Star Teachings, facebook.com/Star Teachings, and there's more on David's Facebook page. His page is Lonebear's Words, so that's all posted in the event, listed in there. And there's some information, Clifford speaking, I think he's on some YouTube. He's also been on Matt's podcast, same with David. So go back and listen if you haven't. There's lots and lots of information there, lots of images and posts. Encourage you to ask questions and to be patient with receiving those answers. We have a few volunteers, so it takes us a long time to kind of go through everything. But if you want to post on those pages, we'll do our best, and the community will do the best to help find those answers that you're looking for and maybe give you some more questions. So ask questions, do research, and be patient. So we will continue these calls or this webinar. We have 5 more planned. We're planning on doing them Thursday evenings from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern. So we'll see you next Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And next week's, I believe, is the 3 energies of resonance. I guess I don't have that right here, but it's about the 3 energies. So that's all I have. Thank you very much. Thank you, Matt, for all your help behind the scenes and your words.